My name is Jerome Kellett, and I've been playing the trumpet now for over 60-some years. And initially, when I started to play the trumpet, I was a total failure. I had no embouchure. And I studied with 10 teachers, and it did no good. At age 30, I could not perform a high C. Practicing 5 to 8 hours a day didn't help. So that's why I spent my entire life working on embouchure and building up strong, what we call chops. My new system is called Super Chops, and we're going to have 2 DVDs. And today, any player, whether he's 10 years old or he's 90 years old, can improve their playing. Now, the reason that you can improve is it's much simpler to play with the Super Chops way. Number one, you're using the strongest muscle in the body, which is your tongue. And you do not have to strain or press. When I was playing as a young man, I pressed very hard with the left hand, and the mouthpiece crushed my lips. And since my teeth were crooked, I would be bleeding. And so I knew this was the wrong way to play. Then I would observe the world's greatest players, whether it was jazz, classical, soloist. They were playing very easy. They were not practicing as much as me. Some didn't practice at all, yet they got better. I got worse every year, no matter how much work I did. So I quickly found out that they were using their tongues completely different. And they were also not overblowing, which I was doing. And almost everyone today is overblowing, even in the symphony orchestra. You don't need big lungs or big air capacity to be a strong trumpet player. What we do is we compress the air inside our mouth. Now we compress the air because we use the tongue on our lips. Now you cannot speak this way. So in trumpet playing, the idea of using syllables is totally wrong. The idea of building up huge lung capacities is also unnecessary. Now what we do is the thing called spit buzzing. Now we're going to take a photograph of my latest embouchure, which I've just been using, like I said, for a day and a half. I'll show you what I warm up with. I was the first man to use the old German French horn method, Einsetzing and Ansetzing, and combining the two. Everyone else had either played high horn or low horn. Now, what I do is my lips are turned out like playing the tuba in a low register, and then the tongue is down here. Then I bring the tongue up, this is my latest method, on my top teeth, holding the top lip in place. The tongue is over top of this little bit like you lick an ice cream cone. Then the bottom lip comes up to hold the tongue in place. So I go from this to this. Now, in playing the 6 octaves, I did not feel any pressure on my lips. I was holding the horn very easily. And like I said, I've only used this position of the tongue for 1.5 days. Now, you'll hear some of my students will actually play with the new embouchure after using it the same length of time. Now, the question is, can you play all types of music? Well, my students play every type of music. In recent months, I've taught trumpet, French horn, bugle, trombone, tuba, and flute and oboe. And all of the players can use this. Now, I cannot play a note on the flute. I tried to turn the man down when he asked for lessons because I said I'm not a flute player. But just using the same spit buzz, now you'll notice, look so I can show you, I have to look at myself. Now this is the normal person's tongue, you see it's thin. That's the way most trumpet players play, or brass players. I play this way. See the thick tongue? The tongue must be thick, and it must stay on the lips in order to get the full vibration. The pedal register, my top lip is inside my lower lip, and the tongue is pushing the lower lip out. I'd like to introduce you to Shabbo Kleinemann. He comes from the Dresden Philharmonic, where he's played for how many years?
15 years.
He's been 15 years in the Dresden Philharmonic, and he plays under the world-famous conductors. And Shabbo decided he wanted to have a stronger upper register. It's now be 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And he came here from Dresden. And this is his second trip, and I also taught him for a week in Hungary when he went over there last summer. Now, Shabbo is going to warm up a little with scales, and you'll notice his articulation. And what he's using is what we call my spit buzz. And it's done with the tongue staying on the lips. Or spit buzz a few notes. Now he'll put it into the scale. Is this the new embouchure?
Yeah.
Good? Okay.
It is.
Now, the F scale. Now, notice the precision of the articulation and the control of pitch. G. Okay, let's take the next scale. B flat.
That would be B flat.
Bring the tongue up just a little bit more.
On top.
Yeah, on top. And bring the lower lip up around. It brings a heavier, stronger thud. Hold this thud longer. Now play a third space C and make it strong like that. Okay, now C scale to high C. See, the teeth were too closed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When the teeth close, then the tongue can remain thick. The tongue must remain thick against the top lip and against the lower lip. That's what produces the
It's
heaviness.
getting red.
What's that?
Right?
No, it's not too red. But so you limit the tongue's thickness, and that's not good. That limits the size of your sound. Feel better? Yeah. It must always be wide open teeth so you can use the thick tongue. Now, before you practice each study, I would like you to spit buzz. Spit buzz is what we do to condition the lips. And then many times the player will have bad habits from his old way of playing. So what we do, we overcome it because we don't have the mouthpiece on his lips, which will remind him of what not to do. Now spit it. Open with the teeth. Yeah. Because the old habit is to squeeze the teeth and the lips together so that you can play the high notes. This method, you don't need to do that. You can. Actually, I used to tell myself, always open the teeth as I went higher. This really helps an awful lot. Okay. We'll try the Leonore number 2. Now, remember to hold the tongue on the upper lip. That's it. Now, this is very good for placing the attack. This is the Fricka book, number 1. Okay. Now we'll try higher scale.
I don't know how it sounds, but it feels well.
We'll tell. The world will tell you how it sounds. Okay. Now play the C scale slurred. Okay. Now do the harmonic slur. C, E, G, high C. Now, see, when you close the teeth, you also lose the tongue gripping the top lip, and you can't sustain as well. See how it resonates? Right? Now, take it up to the high D, all in the open position. He's smiling now because this is the best. There it is. Okay. Try the D scale slurred. See how it corrects the intonation? Okay. Now, when Shabbo first came here with the new Chigrel B-flat trumpet, he complained only about the low notes that were flat. But now, since he is using this type of embouchure even better, the low notes play down into the low register, and now he's able to play in tune. For the low F sharp, turn the lower lip out more. Well, almost into the pedal. Sometimes it tilt the horn up so that you can. That's it. This helps. It'll change the angle. Because the real low register, you want to turn the lower lip out. Then when you play into the upper register, you want the tongue to come up on the top lip and the lower lip to come over top of it.
I also pay attention not to overblow.
Oh yeah, overblowing is the greatest disaster, and he has experienced this in his own orchestra. You should never overblow. You should always play within perfectly centered sounds, and it's much better. Try the lyrical passage a little of that. And don't squeeze the teeth together, or the lips together even. Teeth are closing. Yeah. See, the tendency when you play soft is to close the teeth, which makes it easier to hold on to the note. We don't have to do that now when the top lip is being held in place by the tongue and the lower lip. See, that makes up for the closing. Now, play the same thing again, but this time with very open teeth and a better grip, and you'll be able to open the sound. See, I like to work with the students playing a lot of tongued articulated passages, because this allows you to feel just what's happening with both the tongue and the lips. You have any questions, Shabbo?
Yeah, why is it so difficult to keep the teeth open?
Well, because the jaw, you notice when you sleep, you don't sit and play sleep like that. And even when you talk, you don't have to open like this. But once you get used to it, and also the tongue is in a very unnatural position. The tongue likes to be flat, relaxed, even after you speak. But now you're holding the tongue this way, you see. And holding the jaw open it's a tough thing to do, because we don't use this in speaking, and most players don't use it correctly because their tongue is withdrawing. They're striking. But actually what makes the attack is stopping of the air. We call it a tongue stop, and then the release. And then you must go back and stop the air with the tongue. That makes a precise tack and also builds perfect center of pitch and control. Now, let's do this one, which contains slurring and tonguing. Spin it first. A little stronger. Not enough grip. See how hard it is to hit the A above the staff when you spit, but it's much harder than to play the trumpet. don't have the mouthpiece to help play. Feel now? Good.
Fresh.
Good. You see, your lips should always feel fresh, never pressed out and pushed in. Now, you see, as you begin losing the breath, take more breaths if you have to, but don't take real deep breaths, just easy breaths. Now, how much less air are you using now than you used to use?
Much less. It's enough to breathe through the nose.
Exactly. Slight breath. I like to tell the student to use only his breath that he would be sleeping, like this. That's enough to play the highest note. Shabbo, like all of us, we always had trouble to triple tongue. He's been listening to the great artists play the triple tongue. What do you think of those recordings? Isn't it phenomenal? Now,
Very impressive.
what he's listening to are people playing over 100 years ago with bad recording equipment. There was no tape recorders then. They played into just a megaphone, and everything was direct to disc. So they could not stop and slice anything, and they had to do it from beginning to end. The reason their endurance was greater is because in the old days they had to practice all this tonguing, and many of the teachers of today don't give all these old-fashioned triple tonguing solos. But it's very important to build strength, especially if you want to march in a band or play for hours. Now, he's going to do the Carnival of Venice, the triple tongue movement. Now, let's spit buzz it together. Could you ever play it that fast? Tell the camera.
No.
What?
Barely. course not.
No. Now, you see, he's been listening to players, I loaned him CDs, that over 100 years ago played exactly at this speed. The modern players, even in the symphony orchestras, cannot do this. But with this system, you can play anything that you want. I could also never tongue quickly, because the tongue was moving too much. The tongue must hardly move. If people say, how much does the tongue move? It's imperceptible. We're talking maybe a 32nd of an inch. Because everyone thinks you need a big aperture to play the trumpet. You don't need a big aperture to play. You do need a thick tongue. And all the world's greatest players, whether they admit it or not, are actually playing with the forward tongue, where they could not play like this. It's impossible. So you can play without this and blow a lot of air and force. But as you know, see what happens. The player eventually will destroy himself. As he becomes older, at age 50 or 60, he begins to go downhill, even if he had good natural chops. With this way of playing, you could be 80 years old and play better than you play today.
Yeah, the new thing for me is that with this new tongue setting, I have even I don't have to press that much.
Exactly.
Even less.
You say, I hold the horn, it's like this.
If you press, the game is over.
Well, I can't play. You see, the reason I had to come up with this theory of playing is I had crooked teeth as a child, and the teachers made me play with tight mouth corners and pulled this way, and my teeth were closed, and so I would blow harder, and the lips would collapse, and I would press, and I would crush my lip. And I did not play above the staff, and yet my lower lip was bleeding. And I practiced 5 to 8 hours every day, and I got worse every year. With 10 teachers, it didn't matter. And it doesn't matter whether they play in the big orchestras or not. They may be great players, but they can't transmit what they're doing. And usually even they play with too much pressure. Now, let's try, that was a very nice triple tonguing. Let's try some scales in the slurring. Let's do an E-flat scale. The high E-flat. Want to try the F? But make sure you've got the grip. Don't lose it. Keep your teeth up. Wasn't that the easiest pressure? See, to play the high F is a great advancement for Shabbo. And when he practices this for 2 more weeks, back in Germany, you will not believe he'll play the F sharps and the G's. You want to try the F sharp? Okay. I'd like to introduce you to Yuri Kravitz. Yuri Kravitz is playing, what, 2.5 years?
Yeah.
He's playing the trumpet 2.5 years, but he's a musician who's played violin and many other instruments. And I met him at the International Trumpet Guild show, and I gave him 1 lesson, and now he's going to take his 2nd lesson. Now, articulate the low C scale. You see how the pitch goes flat after the attack?
Mm-hmm.
What you want to do, and this is why the piccolo is harder for you. Spit buzz, but this time we're going to put our tongue in a different place. We're going to put our tongue, you know how you eat ice cream? And tongue comes up and you hold your top lip. Then you bring your lower lip over, that's it, over the tongue. No. But don't stretch your lip. Bring the tongue up and hold it over the top lip. Okay,
Like that?
Yeah, now articulate on the trumpet. 3rd space C. You're not holding it up. That's it. Keep going. It'll be... I'll articulate the way you were tonguing. Hear the difference?
I'm not sure.
Now listen closely. articulate C, D, E, F, G. Da, 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 da. No, tongue, 4 notes. Da, 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 dee, da. Now play it the way you were playing before. You hear the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Now what this is, the top lip is collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
This is why people don't have the endurance when they play and can't play the upper register. When the top lip collapses like this, to keep the lips together, you must crush. But now when you hold the top lip like this with the tongue and the lower lip like this, you're able to sustain any note in any register.
Like that?
Yeah. Now, bring it up.
Which should top
But
up his arm.
you're stretching too much. Relax. Just use the tongue as a barometer of how tight the lips are going to be. No, you went behind. See, your natural way is this. Okay, now do the multiple attack.
On a trumpet?
On trumpet. Hear the resonance?
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. You lost it. Now, how did I know the note was falling off? Because the tongue was moving too much.
Mm-hmm.
See, the tongue really only moves. It just bounces a little. Now try it again. The attack. Almost. But don't.
Like that?
Yeah, that's it. But don't close the teeth. See, if you close the teeth, the tongue becomes thin. You want it thick. In order to hold all the way across. Okay. No. Again.
Like that?
Yeah, more open. Open your jaw. Now slur it. Little. But hold the lip. Okay. Now the high B flat scale. Slur it. See when you hold the top lip, how strong it becomes? Now tongue it. Okay, now do it. 4 notes. You're letting go. You can't cheat. It's going to be hard for a couple days to hold this.
Why is that air coming through?
Because it's breaking apart the lips. Okay, now let's do the octaves. Yeah, that's it. Wasn't that easier?
Yeah.
Okay. Keep holding it. Next one. Yeah, it's on the high end. Keep going. Now you close the teeth. You see, as you become tired, don't close the teeth. Make it work harder. Keep it open. Grab it. Was that easier? Hold on. Next one. Okay. Now, do, dee, do, up and down. It's too much pinching of the teeth. See, if you squeeze the lips together this way, you will ruin it because the teeth will close and it'll push the tongue back. What we want to do is this. That's the way you squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
Squeeze the tongue against the top of the pulley. Do, dee, do, dee, do. it fell down, which is natural because your tongue is tired. It's not used to holding this position. It's a reverse of the way we played before. But it'll work.
Okay.
Now, if you want to develop more strength,
Will it work until 2007?
until you're 80 years old, anyway. Okay, is that long enough? Now, if you want to develop further, play a triplet. And tongue it. Is tired. He wants to drop. But this is how you develop strength.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly like doing push-ups with the arms and shoulders. Now, many teachers don't want to talk about being strong, but if you're not strong on the trumpet, it's the hardest instrument in the world, physically. Well, not musically, it's not hard, but physically it's very hard because you're controlling muscles that you don't normally use. So what you want to do, go gradually, but it must be the same principle of the tongue holding the top lip in place. See, the top lip is what vibrates. And when this collapses into the cup, that's the reason I don't advocate the Bach mouthpiece. For this reason, it makes room for the player to play incorrectly.
This is the 7C. This is the 7E.
Well, that's better, because it's shallow. Okay. But you see, the reason I asked you to get an E cup is so it's shallower, that your lip doesn't collapse as much. You notice you have more endurance on that.
Mm-hmm.
And endurance is very important. And the big sound comes from what you do inside your mouth. It's the compression of the air. And by holding the lips and the tongue together, you're compressing the air better. Okay, now let's play a harder one. Let's play the B flat. Beep, bump, beep, bump, beep. And then I'll teach you how to make the whole thing stronger. Now, your attack is too weak. See, that's it. Bum, 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 bum. But the end of the note is just, you stop it with the air. We want to stop with the tongue. Da, 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 da. Try and spit buzzing first before you play. Okay, now play. Bum, bum, bing, bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Okay, now, to make the tongue stronger, that's what we're going to make stronger. To make the lips stronger, we play a triplet. And the tongue will get very tired. But before long, you'll play the whole exercise, the triplet. But it's the same tongue stop. Now, musically, this would be too abrupt if you were playing in an orchestra.
Yeah.
But we're doing it for strength.
Mm-hmm.
You can always soften the attack. But you can't get the power when you don't have the practice power. Okay? Pop, 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 pop. Okay. Time gets tired. But how does it feel?
Feels good.
Yeah. Now, after you master the tonguing, then you play it slurred. This example. Da dee da dee da dee da. Any problem?
No?
Okay. Now we'll go to the tonguing.
Yeah, multiple tongues, please.
Okay. Multiple tonguing is a mystery to most people, but tonguing this way, your tongue is moving very little. Now, what I advocate in trying to, we don't pronounce the syllables. No ta-ta-ka or tutuku. We do. We spit and cough. Now, in learning to do this, the best way to do it is to use all cough. Until it's strong. See, that's as strong as mine.
Okay, but if we're multiple tonguing, you're gonna have this part tonguing right here and this part, right?
Well, no, what it's doing, it's just a rocking motion.
Yeah, but you're tonguing the different notes with the different parts of the tongue. Right.
Very, not as much movement as you're showing.
Yeah, like right here and right here.
No. All I feel is a cough. But don't triple tongue, just cough it. But make it shorter.
So no tonguing.
No, just cough it. That's it.
Like that?
Yeah, that's it. Keep doing it. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum, just like it's written. That's it.
I'm single tonguing.
But cough it.
What do you mean by cough it?
All I'm doing is coughing with the lip on the
So no attack.
Well, it is an attack.
But you don't use the tongue.
No. Well, the tongue is on the lips, and when you cough it, it vibrates. But shorter.
Like that?
That's it. That's it. But you got to make it short and sharp. That's it.
Like that?
Yeah, but don't hoo it. Just cough. It's the sharpest you can make it. Next one. Now triple tongue. Spitting and coughing. The low one. F. Is that hard?
No.
Okay. Now play it the way you were trying to play it before. Okay, you hear it? The last note with the K was flat.
Uh-huh.
It's the same as I was spitting the high C.
Okay, but there we go. That's another octave,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's high C.
That right there?
Hmm?
Yeah, but why can't I do that?
Well, you can't do it because you can't hold the lip in place. You see, you have more strength and more air than I do. I'm 76 years old. But see, my tongue is strong to hold the lip in place. That's all it is. That's all anybody's ability to do this.
Like that?
Yeah. No, don't press. Grip. Grip. On. Okay. See where the double C comes? Now go up the C scale from middle C up. Out to right. How's that feel?
Good.
Okay. Now slur it. Point it over this way so it doesn't hurt my ears. That's it. See, as long as you hold this grip, you can hold the note.
Okay.
And that's what you want to build is endurance, not just range.
Mm-hmm.
Range without endurance is wrong. That's how you can tell it's wrong.
Okay. Now, what about pedal tones? How do you use? So you said pedal tones should be played like.
Well, you got to do it easier. The pedal notes are done without the tongue in that position. The top lip's turned inside the lower lip. Now watch how I play it. And you only play double pedals, and you're blowing too hard. notes, you're not going down in pitch, because each descent you're making actually with inside of your top lip, turning out.
How are you supposed to do it?
This.
Like that?
Yeah, that's it. But easy. If you blow it, you can't. You gotta get the center of each note.
Now, what do you practice them for?
Relaxation of the lip, stimulation of circulation. And you see, this permitted me to play without strain in the corners of my
Yeah, and
mouth.
how long do you practice these?
I say 10 to 15 minutes every day.
Mm.
I do it as part of my playing. See, now watch.
And is that the C?
Yeah. Now hold my left hand. I'm going to show you just how much, let me come flexible. But see, I just want you to see how much pressure.
Yeah.
Hold on, you can hold. Did I press?
No.
Okay. Okay. What that taught me is with the tongue and the lips, I didn't need to use my corners of my mouth, which everyone else was teaching me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't have to blow hard. Did you see me take a very deep breath?
No.
You shouldn't. Now I'm going to teach you another thing. Play a passage. You know the Goddeski Concerto? Okay. I want you to play it with your normal breath. Good. Okay. Now I want you to play it without taking a breath. Just use the air that's in your mouth, but compress it with holding the. Okay. Do you hear? It was clearer and better sound.
There was almost no difference. I mean, like within, like the tone wasn't better. I mean, worse at
It
all.
was better.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually cleaner. You see what I mean? Because everyone is playing with too much breath. Have you ever observed a great player in Russia? Do you see any of the great players?
Not really.
You were too young then. Okay. Well, if you watch Doxter play, he's hardly breathing. If you watch Maurice Andre, he's not taking breath. Maurice Andre could not run 100 yards. You see? That's not what makes a guy a great player. It's the compression inside your mouth. And that's why you can play the concerto better if you don't take heavy breaths. This is Mike Kravitz, older brother of Yuri. And I've never seen Mike before. This is his first lesson. And he was worried about a warm-up, but there's no such thing as a warm-up. You just play. Now, I just want you to play naturally, your low C scale, articulated. Quicker. Dom, bom, bom, bom. Spit. What I want, see, you let your tongue go back at the last note. That's why it went flat. Now, do this. You play the cello, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me hear your spit buzz. Not bad, but now I want you to take your top lip and bring your tongue up like the illustration, like you're licking off ice cream. And bring your lower lip up to hold that tongue in place on top of your top lip. See how it's a deeper thud? No? Don't tighten the mouth corners. Tighten only against the tongue. Use the chin. That's it. Spit. Hold that top lip in place. That's very important.
Underneath the lip or on?
The tongue on top of it. The tongue at the top of the top lip. But don't stretch out. Bring your lower lip up, because the tongue will not hold by itself. It has to do that. That's it. Now spit. Put it in the horn. Stronger. Open the teeth wider so that you can use thicker tongue. No, the tongue's going back. It's moving too much. I don't want movement. Pop, pop, pop. It's a start on low C. Go up scale. Go up scale. But as you go up, you squeeze. This is tongue, much top lip, and bottom lip. Pop, 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 pop. That's all you do to play.
Let's see, my tongue is going back.
I know. Hold it there. But it has to be held by the strength of the lower lip underneath the tongue. That's it. That's it. Spit. Get the difference now?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't
I
that
actually
easier?
felt the tongue staying there now.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it there. The more you keep the tongue staying there, the stronger player you're going to become. And it all starts from the first octave. See, I have students that cannot play higher than middle C or E in the staff. It doesn't matter. I don't care what your development is, you can always progress. But you must hold this position. Right, try again. Ba, 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 ba. Go ahead, speak. Open your teeth wider apart and then grab the top lip with the tongue more. Now start on an F scale. You know the F scale? That's E. That's it. Stronger. See? That's it. It's that kind of function. Hear the power? But the last note you let go.
Yeah, I did.
With the tongue. Now, how did I know it when I heard it go flat? See, if you allow too much air to get into the mouthpiece cup, you would have to press the lips together to keep it from going flat. We don't want to do that. You know the G scale, 1 sharp? Grab it. Strength on the lip, we play multiple attacks. Da, 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 da. It's getting off. Did you feel the tongue dropping down? Okay. Push it up and hold it with the chin muscle here. Lift it on top of it. Up, up, up. Doesn't come, spit again. That's it. But hold the tongue. That's it. Now you let go. Here, go flat. As soon as the tongue drops down, here's what the top lip does. Twing, and you're lost. The only way you could bring it back is press the mouthpiece and hurt yourself. Go into G, but you notice it's much easier to play now.
Maybe I'm relearning the embouchure now.
Yeah, I know. Now slur the scale, G scale. Hold it. There it is. How's that feel? We'll play your old rate. Watch it. Become? Because as the tongue goes back, you're closing your teeth. And the tongue can't remain thick. The tongue must always be thick to hold this. The tongue went back. Now, how do I know when I can't see the tongue go back? I hear the flatness and pitch. Grip. See, what I would do is I would practice this. So I'm practicing holding my lips in place. See,
is your lip on the pressing against the teeth or on the bottom of the teeth?
Well, no. Let's look at it. You understand?
Okay, yeah, I see that. So let's do it.
Okay. ta-ta-ta-tum, ta-ta-ta-ta-tum. The power? Now, the actual muscle of the lip is the orbicularis. If you look at a medical book, it's here. There's no muscle in the lip here. This is where people, and if you squeeze your lips tight, this doesn't work unless this does. But that, if you squeeze the lips, push the tongue back. The tongue must be forward in all the things we play. In order to grab the top lip is your reed, like a reed instrument. And if this lets go, that's why you see the scars on trumpet players, because they're pressing to hold the lips together. You don't see any scars on my lip, and I played enough today to kill the average player because I'm not pressing. In the old days, I couldn't play this exercise like you played. That's it. Hear the power? You're losing your attack.
See when I get a breath.
You lose the attack. Well, then put it back up. You can. See, when I came in on the real high notes, my ear didn't tell me where the notes were. My tongue and lip have memorized it. Bing! Okay? See, I've taught people with absolute pitch, and they many times can't come in the right tone and center. What you're doing by making this blunt attack, sharp attack, we're making a centered tone. And that's what you have to strive for. It's like hitting a bell. Bing, bing, bing. Now, it may be too strong an attack to play beautiful music, but then you can relax. But if you can't make it strong and centered, then you'll never play correctly. Okay?
For warm-ups, for beginning, what would you recommend? Low notes, just low
Yeah,
notes?
play anything. You should get the articulation first. Just do a low C scale. Shabbo works up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, 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 ta. Are you playing the same length of time as Yuri?
A little bit longer, but he took more. He studies with his teacher. So
Yeah.
He started practicing.
Yeah, well, I see he's practicing. You learn all the technique. Now, see, as you go higher from the low, see, on the low C, you don't have to have as much grip. The higher you go, you need more grip. See, if you only played in the low C register, you could let the lips just easy. There are players who can play wonderful low. I could play from low C down stronger than anybody, but I couldn't play anything going up because I couldn't build the right resistance. Okay? Now, play the F scale, 4 notes. This is just the easy warm-up.
Do you want to bring it like this a little bit?
No, just bring your tongue up. And then bring your lower lip up to hold it in place against the top lip. That's it. Sharper. Okay. On the high note, your teeth are closing.
Closing? They
Yeah.
should be.
You should try to open it as you go higher. Because when you open
Seems
it,
they were open, but my tongue is going back.
that's right. And that's why they're closing. If you make the tongue thicker, it'll stay open. It's like a pry bar. Ever use a pry bar to open a stuck window? That's the whole purpose. See, when you let go, even on a low note, you lose the pitch. That center is what you want in every note. And it wouldn't matter what brass instrument you played. You want that center. Or the flute even. Has to be the same thing. What do you do when you play the cello? What type of tone do you want?
Rich.
That's right.
Clean.
Clean. That's it. And in tune.
Well, that's...
You see, anyone can play notes, but if it sounds horrible, who wants to listen to it.